All right, welcome back, everybody, to the official Weeb Nation podcast. The first episode went pretty all right, I think. So we're doing it again. We got some familiar faces and some new faces, so we're just gonna go around. So first off, I'm back. I might be the host of this. I don't know. I'm Thomas. I'm the vice president of Weeb Nation here at UW Seattle campus.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm also an officer of this club.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm also an officer.
I'm Monica. I am too another officer at Weeb Nation.
So yeah, we got some returning faces with me and Nathan from the first episode, and we got two new people. And today we're gonna be talking about gacha games as our topic. They're pretty popular in our club, and there's been a lot of hype surrounding the topic recently with a recent game release. We'll cover that probably. So first off, we're gonna provide some background. What exactly is gacha? I myself am not too well versed in them. I've only ever played two gacha games in my life. So, can any of you guys enlighten me on them?
I spent like the past half an hour looking through how many gacha games I was playing. I had like a giant list. So, gacha games are basically like originating from when Bandai had these gachapon like capsules. They have these little slot machines. You put in a coin, you spin, and you get like a little capsule with a toy in it. And so, in the last decade, gachapons have been moving over to mobile games where you pay like a certain in-game currency in order to get like a special weapon or a special character. There are different rates depending on the rarity of the character and or the weapon. And sometimes there's limited banners, which makes gachas more popular or people will go for them more. And one thing about gacha is that you can spend in-game you can spend money, real money, for in-game currency, which can lead to the gacha effect and the unpopular part about burning your wallet in order to roll for gacha.
Yeah, so gacha games as they are now are basically weaponized gambling, right? You slap some cute PNGs in the game, you put them in at like a 5% rate, and you tell people, here, you can spend money to get this PNG.
God, I'm thinking about this one Prodigy Vine in which she was like, if he takes the trash can, he dumps it, and he's like, haha, I spent $1,000 on a Jake.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like people, there are people out there who do spend $1,000 on this game, more than $1,000, upwards of $10,000 or more on gacha games. So there's been a lot of controversy over gacha games about whether or not they should be allowed because it is, gambling at its core, right? Should people be allowed to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on PNGs?
So there was a scandal, I think, in Grand Blue Fantasy, which is a pretty popular gacha game, about how there are a couple people who spent like $6,000 on rolling for like a limited character, and they were pretty upset about having to spend that much money. So they made a petition for the company Side Games to try to help with that. And Side Games ended up responding by having a spark system where there would be like kind of like a pity rate, and as well as they were open about the probabilities of getting weapons and characters. So there have been some efforts to try and make gacha more open or accessible to players.
Yeah, well, I'm not super well versed in gacha games. Like earlier, I said I only played two. One of the two I play is Grand Blue Fantasy, and I do know about this. I believe the incident was called Monkey Gate. I can't completely remember.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I did not play the game during this time. I only got into the game like 1 or 2 years ago because I was avoiding gacha games like the plague, but I finally caved in because I caved into Grand Blue Fantasy specifically because two of my favorite developers are Platinum Games and Arc System Works, and they both were making Grand Blue Fantasy titles, so I got into the game because of that. And yeah, it's definitely an experience, but I do know about this. They added the Spark system, and I think I don't have much experience, but I feel like Grand Blue Fantasy is a pretty generous gacha game as far as I can tell. Like it has you can guarantee characters. It has pretty high-ish rates I've heard compared to other ones. Like I said, I don't know that much. I have a very small bubble of experience.
I was gonna say, yeah, kind of like in a similar vein. I know Fire Emblem Heroes that came out like 3-4 years ago. It's also like I really like their gacha system because it's like basically every if you like continuously roll and you don't get a 5-star, the rate just goes up basically until you eventually get one, which I think is really nice. And the rates are also like pretty good because it's like 3% for like a 5-star, so it's not terrible.
Also, speaking from someone who's played Fire Emblem Heroes, they have like certain colored orbs that you can select, so you can choose whether you want like a red type or a blue type or white type, which is pretty neat. So they've had like banners where they're even more generous with gacha. I think there's like a 10% banner for like certain 5-stars at one point. So
yeah,
they're super generous.
Before we continue, I'm actually kind of curious. How many gacha games do each of you guys play, and how much time do you spend on gacha games? You don't have to answer if you're uncomfortable disclosing this information, but I'm just curious.
Wait, are you talking about like games we're playing now, or like also including past games?
Shoot, I don't know. Like just maybe all of it. It's like your history, I guess.
Well, let's see. If I'm counting anything that is installed on a device that I have, because I actually do have a tablet that I bought just to play gacha games because I was running out of space on my phone. But I don't play all of them regularly. So I have I have like 7 on my tablet, and then I have 4 on my phone and 1 on my computer.
You're hustling.
Oh, wait, and I guess I just started playing Genshin, so I also have 1 on my PlayStation as well.
I started out with Love Live in like 6th grade, I think, and then over until like then I've been playing Fate Grand Order, Love and Producer, starting with Genshin Impact, and some of the games I played in the past are Otherlane, Girls Frontline, Fire Emblem Heroes, Bandori, Magic Record, Xeno Alice, Food Fantasy, and SEO Memory Defrag.
I've only played a couple gacha games over the past few years. I think I started with Fate Grand Order, the JP version, back when it came out. I remember re-rolling in my like summer class in high school or something when it came out, and I've stuck with JP ever since. I've also played the NA release of Fate Grand Order, and I also played Princess Connect, Redive, and Genshin Impact. And for the former two, I basically just log on and do my daily quests for like 10 minutes every day now. It's not that much of a time spender.
So this leads me to my next question. I was wondering, it's like, why do we play gacha? Why do people play gachas at all? Like we said earlier, it's like gambling basically for JPEGs and PNGs. But why do we do it?
I said before that gachas were weaponized gambling, and by weaponized I mean animeified. Because, like, let's face it, if these gachas weren't anime themed, most of us wouldn't be playing them, right?
Yeah.
Then we just gamble and casino.
Like, it's a very well-known tactic to appeal to the anime fan base if you want to sell something. Like, even freaking Arby's does it. They make anime-themed Twitter posts. Like, gacha is basically just, like, riding that wave.
Fate Grand Order was mentioned before, but, like, I remember for launch for Fate Grand Order, like, the gameplay-wise, it was extremely terrible. Like, it was really inefficient. There'd be, like, a lot of bug crashes. But what helped, like, a lot of people, like, keep playing it until it got popular to where it was today was, like, people were attached to the original visual novel. People were attached to, like, the characters and the lore behind it. A lot of characters are super powerful in gacha. When you see the summer banners, you go for it. Yeah, I feel like if you have, like, a good enough character, story, and art, like, you can get really far with stuff, whether it's, like, gacha, anime, manga, or more.
It's something I've noticed in the past couple of years is as gacha games continue to, like, pop up everywhere, a lot of them are based on pre-existing properties, and, like, once in a while there will be an original one, but a lot of time I'll see one based on a popular anime or something. Like, I believe Konosuba got a gacha game last year, I think, or was it this year? It might have been this year.
Within the past, I don't know, 6 to 12 months, I guess.
Yeah, I know Overlord got one somewhat recently, I think, also. But yeah, a lot of it is based on pre-existing properties, and so yeah, like what you said about characters holding a lot of weight, when you see that, I think it's pretty clear they will just gamble on you liking the characters enough that you'll play them and roll for them, right? Mm-hmm. But then how does an original gacha succeed?
I guess I wonder if I guess if it would depend on like the kinds of games because I'm thinking about how like gotcha games have like a combat system. Usually your 5 stars or SSRs are like also the really strong units, right? So that might be like another reason why people would roll for them aside from being a cute anime girl. But like with games that don't do that, like I play A3, right, which is like it's not based off of anything and it's not a combat thing. It's basically a visual novel and I don't know, it's like the story is really good as I'm playing through the story. So I guess I get attached to the characters that way, and so that's what makes me want to roll for certain characters, right?
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm a weirdo. I'm an outlier because I play gotcha game, or I said I've only played 2 gotcha games. I pay those gotcha games. I picked them up because I actually was interested in the gameplay, not because of the characters in the game, not because of the anything else. I just thought the gameplay was neat. I played Grand Blue Fantasy because it plays like a classic JRPG, Final Fantasy-esque. I love turn-based JRPGs, and there just aren't that many anymore. But Grand Blue Fantasy, kind of, how do I say, scratches that itch for me. And then the second game I play, I haven't said it yet, but it's Genshin Impact. That's the whole reason we're talking about this. Genshin Impact recently came out. It's not sponsored, by the way. We don't have that many views. They would never sponsor us, as far as I know, but maybe in the future. But yeah, it's not sponsored by Genshin Impact. We all genuinely picked up the game because we thought it was interesting. I think gameplay, I think I've had a lot of fun. It's like a hodgepodge of a bunch of games I like, and I think that's good. There's no characters that like roped me into playing the game or the gacha aspect at all. It was just the gameplay itself, and yeah, that's why I pick up gacha games.
So yeah, I agree. Like with a lot with games that are like as rare and standout as Genshin, especially the gameplay is a big factor. But I think also a big factor is the developer, right? The developer of Genshin Impact, MiHoYo, also has a track record of making well-received gacha games. Most notably, Honkai Impact Third, which visually and gameplay-wise are, as far as I know, pretty good for a gacha game. There is some merit to this with other gacha games too. Like for example, Princess Connect Redive, which I play. It's made by Cygames, which also is the developer of Grand Blue Fantasy. And I don't think a lot of people would be playing Princess Connect initially if it wasn't developed by Cygames, which is a very good track record with being pretty generous to its player base. And Princess Connect actually bombed once, and they had to remake the game. So if these developers like don't have the existing capital to put into the game and put into an ad campaign, which also is a big part of why Genshin is so popular, they wouldn't be as big, I think.
I mean, I kind of feel the opposite of you guys because, at least to me, like gacha games are always going to be aiming for your money. So I'm just like, if I'm going to play this, I mean, we'll just go in for like the story and then gameplay comes for a second for me. Although like some exceptions I will give is like World Flipper because like the ping pong or not ping pong, the pinball aspect was pretty fun for me. But I don't know. I remember like the main thing I wanted to go into Genshin was just because like the vibe with the like itself reminds me of a lot of like Breath of the Wild, or I don't know, like the really open, expanded. The visuals were really appealing, and the characters are all pretty like diverse in appearance and like different tactics. Even then, it was like I could just spend hours just exploring the different area. The gameplay is still fun. That's the main thing that's hooking me in about gacha games.
So then, what makes a good gacha game? Exactly. We talked about how we've come into these games for different reasons, but what makes them stand out once you're in? What makes them different or good in gacha? Is gacha, like, our gacha games, should we judge them differently from normal games, or should we hold them up to the same level of quality as normal games? Like, what should make them good?
I remember looking up this one study that said that like they were talking about how gacha games have been like around 58% of like the top 100 games in iOS. So I definitely think that gacha games are starting to represent themselves or increase in popularity more in the US, which is pretty cool at least, and also in different countries. I mean, you can focus on gameplay or characters or story or other stuff, but different aspects of gacha are definitely going to appeal to different people.
Yeah, I think having that like pretty big range of like types of gacha games is probably what allows them to be like as like gacha games as a whole, like umbrella term, to be getting more and more popular, right? Because you have games like Genshin Impact or like Grand Blue Fantasy that all have like actually really fun combat gameplay and like other things that you can do, and you have other ones that are like probably for people that like just want to read something, or rhythm games also that have a gacha aspect to them. I forgot about that as well because those are also very popular.
They maybe say free to play, but they're really going for their money. Give it to them because they're too good.
Personally, for me, I talked about it earlier, but personally for me, when I rarely touch gacha because I feel like the gacha aspect is going to rope me into a deep rabbit hole. But so I'm very selective about them. I'm only playing 2 because the gameplay stood out to me. For me, I'm very critical about video games. I spend like all my time playing them. So when I pick up a new game, I gotta put it under a magnifying glass. Like, what's wrong with it? What's good about it? But yeah, for me, I'll usually prioritize gameplay because it is a game after all. It is gacha games, so I put a lot of weight in that. Story is like, it can be good. I love JRPG, story can be really nice, but I have a lot of friends who play gacha games who just skip the story because they just want the rewards and they're trying to grind. And so that's like the thing I have mixed feelings about with gacha is like how the gameplay loop can work with other features of the game. But yeah, we're talking about Genshin. Genshin stands out a lot to me because it reminds of, this is like it was very controversial when it was first revealed because yes, it's a lot like Breath of the Wild. I said earlier, it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of games, but I think I go under the belief that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The game looks like Breath of the Wild. The exploration's like Breath of the Wild. Yeah. The gameplay is kind of like Nier in terms of combat, Nier Automata, and there's gacha with a little hint of gacha in there. But I think it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff that I like. So if it worked in the past and it was good, it works now because it's still good. And so I like it because it plays good, it looks good. It's just stuff I already liked in the past. And it just happens to have gacha. What I really like about Genshin specifically, compared to like the only other gacha game I've played is Grand Blue, but what I really like about Genshin is that the game has gacha, but the gacha is completely optional. You can play through the whole game with what the game gives you for free, which I think is really nice. Coming from Grand Blue has a very large discrepancies between if you have a character or you don't from the gacha. Some characters can break the game, but in Genshin, the 5-star characters are really good, but you don't need them. I've seen videos of people going through the game doing insane damage numbers with free-to-play characters, and I appreciate that.
Not gonna lie, I can't believe Genshin is actually like, you don't have to pay money to download it.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've thought about a lot about Genshin is the fact that it's free, right? Because it's absolutely got to have an insane development budget. There's no way that this game was made on the cheap. So even though the gacha is basically a small component of the game, we have to think about how much money they're gonna make back on the gacha anyway. Because if it's in the game, people are gonna spend money on it, which is probably like my biggest criticism of gacha games is that there is a gacha. It is literally gambling at the end of the day. I personally, even though I play gacha games, I don't think gambling has much of a place in gaming. So it really is all about how you approach the game, I think. For a lot of you, it seems like the gameplay does happen to be a big part of why you play gacha games, which I think is the best way to approach it. If you go into a gacha game thinking you want to roll all the cool units, you're going to end up falling into some pitfall of wanting to spend a ton of money at some point. But if you go in for the gameplay and think, oh, maybe I'll be able to save up for some character I like in the future, then that's the best way to have a healthy relationship with gacha games, I think, because I think most of us have heard stories of people spending way too much money on these games.
We talked about it earlier, and so the question comes, should you ever spend $1,000 on a JPEG? I'm going to answer that right now. No, you should not.
No.
The emotional answer is depends on the character.
You might love a character a lot. You might love a character so much that you can't live without them. But I'm telling you, please don't spend all of your money on it. It's just a picture.
Adding on to what Noreen said, the thing that kind of spooks me about gacha games is they're free to play in iOS or not iOS or Google Play Store, but like little kids can like access that at any time. They can download, they can get there, and like with the right resources, they could end up spending other people's money on it, which can get kind of spooky. I know there are some games who try to like balance that out by like, oh, if you're under a certain age, like you can have like this paywall, but that's also really easy to bypass. I think I remember reading about an article about the Japan Online Association trying to figure out a way to like recompensate players back who are spending money on the game, but that hasn't been set in stone yet, so I can't really go into much detail of it, but they're trying, I guess.
You bringing that up actually reminds me of the court cases, couple, like, I can't remember when they happened. It's been either like a year or so, about loot boxes here in, like, I believe this was in the EU though, I believe. But loot boxes in video games have also gone a bunch of controversy because kids can just get onto those games and gamble, essentially. And it's pretty much the same thing as gacha.
Yeah, I agree. They're pretty exploitative as it is because gambling is gambling, no matter how much you try to package it in cool art and cosmetics.
You gotta fight capitalism at this rate.
So for the most part, we all think that gacha elements or just RNG elements like loot boxes, gacha, just shouldn't exist in video games, right?
I mean, I don't think it's bad, but I feel like the way you should do it is just make it to where you can't use real world money for it. Because, like, I think it's totally fine to have an in-game little gotchas. Like, for example, if you had, like, I guess I'll just take Overwatch. Not that I don't even know who plays it anymore. But anyway, or if it was just like in-game, like you level up, you get a loot box, and it wasn't like also you can also spend real life money on it. I feel like that would be fine, you know, because it's like, well, then you're just. It's mostly, at that point, it's mostly just encouraging you to play the game more, you know?
Yeah,
so
I do
like,
see your point with that. Yeah, it gives players incentive. I'm actually okay with gacha if it's cosmetics. If it's only cosmetics, I'm completely okay with it. If when it becomes a progression gate where if you don't roll for something and it actually gives you stats or whatnot,
yeah,
I think that's a little silly. You shouldn't be progression gated by your wallet. You should be by how much time or skill you have in like you invest into a game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like most of how bad the gacha system is for the game, like you said, basically just depends on how important it is to the actual gameplay and progression, right?
Yeah, it's definitely important to like have a balance and just being able to play through and not like have a game be like pay to win. I think Magia Record for NA at least, they like tanked down recently or like they stopped services a month or so ago. But it was basically like they had this problem with like progressing too quickly, and it would have like limited gacha characters out like every single day, and it'd be like really hard to like for players to keep going, and eventually like everyone just got burned out and wouldn't keep playing. Yeah, lesson from Magia Record: don't try to bum rush gacha servants coming out all the time.
It's like the power creep in Fire Emblem Heroes.
Rain Flynn and Rain Hard.
That's also one of the big things with gacha games, I think, is that power creep is basically inherent to them because they gotta make you keep rolling and spending, and power creep is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah,
it's so exploitative though. Or yes, at least for like when you compare whales to like free to players and then you have PvP in it, and seeing like a stark difference can just be discouraging for players sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh man, like I'm especially thinking of like of games that have like events where you need to rank to get like certain rewards, you know, and it's like, yeah, you can play as much as you can without spending money, but usually, you know, in addition to like buying the in-game currency for rolling, you can also usually use that same in-game currency to like get more stamina, right? So it's always like, if you're spending a lot of money on the game, you have all the good units and you also have like extra stamina to like get all the points, right? So it makes it really hard for people that don't want to or can't spend money on games like that.
Yeah, personally, I despise stamina systems. I really wish games did not implement them because they're just a way to stop people from playing the game. And yeah, like you said, a lot of the time, stamina systems will have a way for you to pay real money to bring back your stamina so you can play more. But why would I want to pay more to play a free-to-play game? It's just, I just don't get it.
At least one of my criticisms of gacha games, or at least like the ones I know since they're mostly mobile, is like games, in my opinion, were like designed to be like kind of like a pick up and drop. Like so, like the stamina system was like, oh, you can take a break because you're done using your stamina, come back in a bit. But then like when gacha games are like, well, you can spend your money and you can buy stamina, or you got to keep grinding. It's like it's kind of defeating the purpose of mobile games and getting people to focus more on just like trying to beat the gacha, which
This actually reminds me, I haven't ever played Grand Blue, but I've heard that it basically is just like it's extremely generous with the amount of stamina they give you to the point where it just basically doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, Grand Blue. Yeah, there is a stamina. I always forget this, but yeah, there is a stamina system in Grand Blue, but they just give you so much of the stamina refill thing that yeah, it doesn't exist basically, and that's that's pretty neat. I mean, it's still a stamina system that exists, but it might as well not exist because they give you so much of the stuff for free too. It's pretty nice.
I'm having more flashbacks to World Flipper and just no no stamina existing at all.
Oh yeah.
Grand Blue is actually like pretty notorious for being extremely grindy, right? Because there's no stamina.
Yeah, Grand Blue is essentially an MMO. I feel like that's how I feel. That's how I feel about gacha games. Is they're basically like MMOs. You got the daily grind. You do like daily quests, grind for materials, upgrade everything. It is not the gameplay loop of an MMO. Is it not? That's the same thing, but maybe.
Well, right.
But condensed on your phone, on your tablet. You can, but it's still like an MMO.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate to me.
Your tablet for just playing gacha games.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I also got it because I play a lot of the rhythm ones, and it's nice having a bigger screen. That's like the other reason.
That's fair. I've done that too.
Yeah, when people tell me, "Oh, why would you play a gacha game? You could play another game." I think, like, why would you play a gacha game instead of a different game? I'm like, gacha games are basically like MMOs. I'm not an MMO guy, honestly. Personally, I'm not really into the super daily grinds and all of that, or raids and all of that. But gacha games are so much smaller. They're meant to be played on the go. A lot of them are mobile, so it's like a condensed version of MMO. You can just whip out your phone, do a thing, and you're done. It's super nice. Being a college student and just sitting in on lectures, I usually have Grand Blue on the side. Either if I'm taking notes on my laptop, I got Grand Blue on the side of the screen, or I just have my phone out and I'm doing something.
Oh my god.
I actually do that too a lot. Yeah, I mean, I just set my phone to loop the regular grind stuff, and I just sit it down and I do my homework.
Yeah, gacha games have a lot of auto stuff. Kind of defeats the point of it being a game, but at the same time, you're getting the satisfaction of getting stuff for doing nothing. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, auto and like skip tickets and things like that are basically the standard now in a lot of gachas, as far as I know. This actually reminds me, back in high school, I played Fire Emblem Heroes for like 2 months, and somehow my US history teacher let me get away with playing it like every day in class while he was lecturing. I don't know how it happened.
He knew you were playing it or what?
Yeah, I just had my phone out on the table. He'd be lecturing, and I'd just like take notes and while playing, and he'd get pissed at other students for messing around. But I just always have Fire Emblem Heroes out, and that just happened to be the class where I wanted to play it. He just let me, and he never said anything about it.
Maybe he had a psychic connection with you, or maybe one day he saw it and he's like, "Oh, playing Fire Emblem Heroes? That's my favorite game," and he just let you go.
No.
I remember I used to play like Vagrant Order a lot in like one class I had in high school. I guess like I don't know, I was really close to the teacher and he was like really chill and stuff. He would like sometimes ask me like, "Oh, what are you doing in this? You're grinding a lot." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is like my favorite character and stuff."
Is this the class I had with you?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but I would see you playing it. Even then, I would never strike up a conversation until we both happened to be in the same anime club at university.
We found each other through the gacha vibe.
Oh, yup. Yeah, I guess one of the cooler things about gacha games too, I guess, is the community that can build around them. We all like revel in the pain of being forced to gamble for PNGs.
Well, also, being in a community can be hazardous for your health because the salt.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
we're gonna bring up Moo Day.
That's a story for another day. But when it comes to gacha, if you're in a community, be careful. If you get an amazing roll and you post it, be careful because they might want to grab their pitchforks and kill you.
On gacha roll threads, they're either just look at this single roll I got the 5-star character, or like I spent like 500 or like 1,000 quartz and I didn't get who I wanted.
I remember this last week with the release of Genshin, seeing people in our Discord with their amazing rolls snapshotted. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm struggling. I was struggling, and then they were like, oh, I rolled two 5-stars in my first roll, and I'm like, why would you do this?
God, I barely rolled any characters. You all are rolling 5 stars.
I think I've been especially salty, even though I've personally been saving all my
saving
currency.
your rolls. Yeah, it doesn't count. You're not. I have nothing. I've been turning all my gacha resources into dust. I'm just using them all.
You're a fool.
Satisfying my need, the idea of getting maybe this gachas is just like you always have a fallacy. You think, oh, but this next roll might be the one, and that's why you keep going.
God.
Always desire sensor.
Oh.
In my brain, I know it's not. I tell myself, no, it's a bad idea. I'm gonna get nothing. But then another voice in my head says, but you could get something. And I'm like, oh, but that's also right. So I'm gonna do it.
God.
And it's just.
I have so many 5-star servants from Spooks and freaking Fake Grand Order. And then I remember I spent $300 and 1,000 quartz total because I wanted to get Assassin of Shinjuku. I did not get it once. I was so mad. I had to wait for a free SR ticket to get it.
Isn't Fate Grand Order infamous for its
Yes.
very low drop rates?
Yes. It is what taught me to be patient and expect nothing from gacha. I used to just spend my currency all the time without like saving up for banners and stuff. But after like a year of just YOLO rolling and never saving, I realized, wait a second, this sucks. I expect nothing, and I just play the game and enjoy the story now.
Not even a pity that one Fake Grand Order.
Oh yeah, Fate Grand Order exists solely off of its pre-existing IP. The game would have flopped on release if it wasn't a Fate game.
Unlike Genshin, I'm a lot smarter in Grand Blue Fantasy. Since because of the Spark system, I'm a lot smarter with my funds. Like now, every time I Spark, I immediately have a second one saved up because I'm ready for the next banner. When the next big broken character comes out, you gotta be ready for the power creep when it comes.
Oh yeah, that's basically the relationship I have with Princess Connect. They're both Princess Connect and Grand Blue are by Cygames. I think I said that earlier. So they both have a Spark system. I think I have 2.5 Sparks saved up in Princess Connect right now. Yeah, gacha, a lot of it is just about a waiting game and understanding that even when you wait, you might get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like every gacha game should have a Spark system like Cygames does. I feel like it would make our lives a lot easier. There'd be less salt, less pain, knowing that you can pick a character at the there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that you can pick a character. Unfortunately, that's not the reality we live in. A lot of games don't have a Spark system.
Yeah. Cygames is basically the gold standard for generosity in gacha games, as far as I know.
Worst case scenario, just wait for that anniversary banner and then you can go all in.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, since the only other gacha game I played besides Genshin is Grand Blue, I don't know how super salty it can get. So I was wondering, what are your horror? Do you guys have any horror stories? Your lowest of lows in rolling gacha?
I've definitely spent more money than I should have on both A3 and OnStars. I even told myself that I was not going to spend money on OnStars because I was already like, I'm not going to get into this game, and then I did. And then I was like, okay, it's just a rhythm game, so I'm not going to spend money on it because I don't need the strong cards, right? And then I still fucking did. So I don't know. I don't think I have anything too crazy. It's mostly just like, I definitely spent a little too much money on that banner. And it's like especially bad when you don't get that card you're trying to go for, you know? It just leaves like a bad taste in your mouth because you're like, oh, I just spent all that money.
You win, but at what cost?
Yeah, right? Oh my god.
I think for me, I personally don't have any like gig assault stories, but Fate Grand Order itself has a lot of moments within the community where a lot of people assaulted super hard or just straight up quit the game because of certain banners. I remember both in JP and NA back when the Tamamo banner came out for the first Halloween event. I remember vividly reading through rule threads, and people would say that they've spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars for Tamamo. And because Fate Grand Order has no pity system, there is a very real chance of spending upwards of $300, $400, $500 and not getting the character that you want, even when they're on rate up. And that happened to a good amount of people. And I know for a fact that plenty of people have quit Fate Grand Order because they couldn't roll characters like Tamamo or John Alter or Scotty.
I mean, I shared my horror story with Assassin of Shinjuku and Fate Grand Order, but there have definitely been like a bunch of like spooky stories that have happened with the gacha system. Like I remember there was someone in the Fate Grand Order Discord who posted a receipt of like selling their car and like, I'm ready to roll for Jolter. And there's been this one urban legend of a person going to the mafia to pay off for spending money on getting Skaha and JP.
The mafia. Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely just watch your funds, please. It is not worth
How far
sacrificing
can
your
the
wallet.
rabbit hole take you?
Like on the other end of the spectrum, you have Grand Blue Fantasy players, which I've also heard horror stories about, but not from spending money, other than Monkeygate, but from playing the game way too much. Like there was that one guy who was running from the IRS or something, right?
Tax evasion. Yeah.
Yeah,
He ran
and
away.
you'd be squatting at people's homes and leeching off the internet to play their guild wars.
Oh my god, I remember hearing about that.
I do remember hearing it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy the lengths people will go for their gacha. Like these games are meant to be, they're mobile, like small condensed mobile games that you just have to play on the side, but some people devote their entire lives to them.
Gacha bad civilization, be careful.
Yeah, we'll say if you're new to gacha, you've never done gacha before, and you want to try a gacha game, or maybe you're currently playing gacha and it feels like an addiction to you, just try to keep it in moderation. You know, they're just games. They're meant to be casually played, so don't get too deep into them. Hopefully.
Like, of course, if you're giga rich and you can do whatever you want with your money, that's a different story. But most of us aren't super rich.
Yeah, we're college students.
Yeah. So just like look at the drop tables for any gacha game. Do the math. It is literally never worth it, ever, unless you're in that like top 1% of people who can just do whatever you want with your money.
I mean, worst case scenario, like the online community are usually good in like providing like translated content of like, here's some information about your character, here's some information about your story. So if you were thinking about spending that wallet but you don't got enough, you can always just look them up online and just keep it on repeat.
Sometimes people aren't satisfied because they have the need to have the character. They want it. If you're living vicariously through someone else, it's not the same. It's got to be you. They're like, I want it. I need it.
Exactly.
I can feel that though sometimes, just watching someone do big numbers but you being unable to do it because you can't roll it. You know, that causes more salt. You know, you don't feel satisfied. And believe it or not, despite how I've played so little gacha games, I actually have spent money on gacha games.
Oh no.
Perhaps you at home let out a gasp. Will close your mouth because it's not a big deal. I've only spent $60 total on mobile games, so it's not that big of a deal.
Those are definitely rookie numbers.
Yep, I've only spent money on Grand Blue Fantasy, and I've spent $60. And that is it. I didn't. And the things I spent weren't rolls. They were guaranteed tickets, guaranteed characters. So that's why I bought them. Is because it wasn't gambling because it was literally guaranteed. Just $30 gave me a ticket, I picked the character, bam, there we go.
Yeah, on my end, I spend like $20 to $40 on Fake Grand Order a year because they have every 6 months they have a guaranteed 5-star banner that you have to pay to roll on. So sometimes I'm like, oh cool, I can maybe test my luck a little and guarantee a 5-star at least.
I can maybe test my luck. Oh,
yeah,
shoot.
but at this point, I don't really roll on them anymore because I'm like, what's the point, man? I'm probably not gonna get what I want. But especially back when the game was fresh, any SSR was a blessing. So for $20, it was very, very much worth it.
You're telling me you don't have that little voice in your head though that
perspective.
says maybe you will get something good, something you want?
See, I used to have that voice in my head, and then I played Fate Grand Order for a year, and I realized that that voice is the devil, and
Yeah.
nothing will ever tempt me to YOLO roll or spend money on bad RNG ever again. My mind is a temple now.
You've reached complete status. No, but I remember back, like, I kind of like agree with that mindset because back when I first started playing Fake Grand Order, I tend to get very invested in things that like I find very interesting at the beginning of stuff, and so I have made some pretty impulsive purchases that I'm not gonna divulge. But I guess like over the time since I've been getting to like more endgame content and like I can like see which servants are coming up now. Like I've mostly mellowed out, save for Space Ishtar and Lanling that are coming soon. But other than that, I've been like holding myself back with gacha and just trying to enjoy what they're giving out more.
All right, we got like around 10 minutes left. So I was just for the last 10 minutes, I kind of just wanted to talk about Genshin Impact, honestly. We wanted to do this talk because Genshin came out. It was a gacha game. It's making waves. It's currently making waves. So I was just wondering, what are you guys' initial thoughts? I know Nathan and I have been playing it like nonstop since release, but
Yep.
And you guys are Monica, Maya. You guys are more newer to it. You haven't played it as much as us. But I was wondering, just what is everybody's thoughts on it? Like, is this the future of gacha games? Is this what gacha games need in the market? What could it improve on? Just what are your thoughts?
Why did the gotta burn my computer like a grill every time?
Well, for me, I actually have very mixed feelings about Genshin Impact. I've had a lot of fun while playing it, but as I hit the sort of content block that they have right now for the game, I can start to see a lot of issues surfacing with how the game is being run that may or may not extend through the long term. Like, first things first, let's start with the positive. It's a fantastic experience for at least gameplay wise. Like you said before, Thomas, it's a mishmash of good stuff like Breath of the Wild and Nier, and a lot of people criticize the game for that, saying it's just a Breath of the Wild clone or whatever. But the thing is, Breath of the Wild is a good game, so by cloning it, you have also made a good game, at least at the base level. But my biggest worry is how often content is going to roll out, because I've already hit the content wall. Admittedly, I've been playing a lot, but I've already hit the content wall. It's not even a week in, so longevity-wise, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. And in terms of being a free-to-play game, sure, the gacha is kind of at the back of the game's priorities. But at the same time, like I said before, if the gacha is there, people are going to spend money on it, and they're going to try to roll on it. And as far as I can see, the amount of gacha currency that is available to free-to-play players dries up very quickly. So that's also another worry of mine.
Yeah, similar to you, I've also hit the content wall, kind of. I am currently enter rank 31, and there's no story currently left in the game. There's side character stories, but I have to unlock those. But like, there's no more main story left. There's no more new areas. I'm basically just running through the same areas trying to collect everything at this point. And so it is a little worrying, but at the same time, the amount of time I've put into the game, I probably could have finished the AAA game. So it kind of makes sense that there's not that much content left because we've already we have put a lot of time into it. But yeah, it is something I'm worrying about is how often are they going to do content? That is a big thing because even like when I play Grand Blue has like main stories, has a bunch of raids. How the game works is like why we keep playing it is there's monthly events and it's like actually bi-weekly events or something like that, or weekly events, I don't know, and daily raid grinding. In this game though, I think Genshin Impact stamina system is pretty rough. You can only do like 3 bosses or a couple dungeons a day, and it is rough. That's like you can do that in 20 minutes probably, and then you have nothing left probably for the rest of the day. The stamina regens, but it's a rate of 1 per 8 minutes, so that is very rough. I think they should fix that or give like Grand Blue just shower us with stamina items so that it basically doesn't exist anymore so we can keep playing. But yeah, the content block right now is a little weird, and we don't have any real, besides leaks, we don't have any real news about an update, which is kind of worrying. So yeah, but I've been having a lot of fun with the game. The more I play it, yeah, the more I see flaws in the game. But hopefully they don't mess it up, because I do think this could be one of the best gacha games ever made, because it is actually a game underneath. There's an actual AAA game underneath that just happens to have gacha. So I have a lot of hopes for it, and I hope they don't mess it up. But so far, I'm excited for the future. But hopefully they don't let this game die and they actually give us updates.
Yeah, so I've been trying to pace myself with Genshin so far, just because one, it burns my computer, but two, there's also like the aspect that it's very popular, but it's also like new. So I mean, the developers are probably like, even with all the time they've invested in it, they're still like trying to figure out like how can they keep content going, or like what additions are they going to add. So I think it's just like, I don't think I would consider it a problem in the way that like players are probably just getting very invested, and they're probably like just burning out because developers are like trying to like make sure that Genshin can keep ongoing, instead of just trying to like do a bunch of things initially in the beginning and then like kind of burning out later. But other than that, like, I think Genshin has like a ton of like good stuff so far. Like the gameplay's fun, the environment looks really good, they have a lot of really good voice actors, yada yada yada. And like I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're able to keep the momentum of.
I just started playing like earlier today, so I don't have like a ton of thoughts. I was recommended it actually by 2 friends for like the reason of like, yeah, it's like a hodgepodge of, you know, a bunch of games I like, because I love Breath of the Wild. I also, playing it, I see a lot of similarities to Dragalia Lost, which is also another gacha game. But like, it's like if you took Dragalia Lost and made it open world, which is like something I really like, because I really love Dragalia Lost. I just don't play it that much anymore, but the characters are really cool, and I feel like the gacha also is super central to that game as well. Also, like, I'm weak, y'all. Cute boys. If I see cute boys, I'm gonna play the game. So that's literally, simple. That's how it works for me. But aside from that, like, I'm having a fun time with the gameplay. I think I hope they are able to like keep content coming out like fairly regularly, you know. And I think it'll be a really big game. You know?
Yeah, I would definitely advise you to savor the flavor. I think. So I've been playing it nonstop, so I might have been rushing through the content, and that's why I'm at this point where I'm at. But yeah, take your time. It's a big game. It's a lot of fun. Like getting to the point where we're at will take like a good amount of hours. Like the amount of hours it would take to beat a AAA game. So.
All right.
Just gotta say, my comrade Kaya and Dela kind of hit different.
Dude, Kaya! Oh my god!
She's so pretty,
that's how the gachas rope you in. All you need to see is a cute girl or a cute boy, and you're just itching to roll.
And they dropped the event limiteds, the Halloween versions, the summer versions, and that's where you spend your money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, this game is less than a week old, so we literally have no clue what's in store. Gacha games don't give us everything on release ever, so I'm expecting gameplay changes, quality of life changes in the future, just for the sake of having them.
At the time of this recording, there's been like leaked rumors that could change the game as we know it, but I'm not gonna touch on them because we don't know if they're actually true. Hopefully they are true, and the game just becomes just amazing. But we will see.
Assuming Genshin's able to like launch off, they're definitely going to be setting a new standard for gacha games. They're just
Absolutely, absolutely. I think with the game just coming out and in the state that it is, I think it's already raising the bar for what a gacha game can be. Just the very existence of the game, just the presentation, the gameplay, the whole world. It's incredible, and that's why I picked it up, was because I didn't even realize it was a gacha game when I heard about it. I just heard it was just a free to play open world RPG. I found out it was gacha later, and I was warned against it, but I was just so impressed by the game as it looked, and it was made in Unity, and I love Unity. I think Unity is a great it's a great thing for game developers, and so seeing this game was made in Unity, I use Unity primarily when I program games, so seeing that this was made in it inspired me a lot, and I think it shows a lot of potential for what gacha games can become in the future, because it's, like I keep saying, it's an actual game. If you ignore the gacha, there actually is a game there. It's and you don't need the gacha, but it is there.
Yeah, like the gameplay for what it is very good, and the story is very promising too. I think the prologue was a little cliche, but I'm pretty excited for what they could throw at us in the future story wise.
Yeah. I'm just hoping for more frequent updates. I want more content. We're steamrolling through it, and I want more. But maybe it's time to slow down. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like we've been blasting through it a little too much. Although I think with the school quarter starting for us, that will be less of an issue moving forward.
Perhaps. But yeah, do you guys have any final thoughts on anything that we've talked about?
Budget your money if you decide to spend money on a gacha game. Please budget your money. Oh my god. Set a limit for yourself and adhere to that limit.
Yeah, set a limit on your credit card, your debit card, whatever, if you're playing a gacha game, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Use your clairvoyance if you can, and or from what other servers are doing, and just save your money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, unless there's a pity system where you can guarantee a character at some point, expect literally nothing, because that is how RNG works.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will get good stuff and you will be fooled by it and deploying, and you will get nothing from the gacha because they are the high rollers and you are the low roller.
Yeah, don't let that voice in your head tell you what to do. Don't let it tell you that you can get something good, because a lot of the times it won't happen.
The desire sensor always make me not get my rolls.
But yeah, for the most part, that is it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed our talk of gacha and Genshin Impact. Again, this video is not sponsored by Genshin Impact, but please sponsor us. I would like that. But,
Fun fact: you guys know that Raid Shadow Legends had the gacha system?
I believe it.
No, I was looking stuff up beforehand. Raid Shadow Legends is had the gacha system.
Makes sense. It is.
So
It's a mobile game.
Shadow
It's big on the store. Makes sense. Yeah. That's it for today. I've been Thomas.
Nathan signing out.
This has been Maya. Woo.
Monica about to go play Genshin again.
Yeah, we're probably gonna go play Genshin after this. Again, not sponsored. But yeah, thank you for joining us again. Hopefully again. I hope you watched the first episode. If you haven't, it's in the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment below telling us what you want to see next. Yeah. See ya.
Yeah.
Take care, gamers.
Happy
Save your money.
gambling.
Gotcha.